Hello? Welcome. You are experiencing this moment because your vibrational frequency has aligned perfectly with the information you are about to receive. Quantum physics teaches us that observer and observed are intrinsically connected, and you have attracted this experience through your own energetic signature. Only 3% of the human population can tune into this specific frequency of consciousness during a single existence. Every thought you have had, every emotion you have felt, every choice you have made created waves in the quantum field that eventually materialized into this exacct encounter. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are the quantum architect of your own journey. Every challenge overcome elevated your vibration. Every moment of growth expanded your capacity to attract higher realities. Your presence here is physical proof that you have mastered the laws of attraction at a level that few understand. The universe operates as a vast field of quantum information, responding instantly to the frequencies we emit. Your sincere search for deeper truths created a magnetic resonance that attracted exactly the experiences necessary to prepare you for this moment. There are no coincidences in the quantum field, only synchronicities perfectly orchestrated by your own expanding consciousness. Your reality is reorganizing because you have entered a new frequency band in the spectrum of consciousness. Time has lost its linear rigidity and now flows according to your internal vibration, expanding in moments of high frequency and accelerating when you operate in dense states. Your presence emits energetic signals that people subconsciously pick up, altering the dynamics of your interactions. Synchronicities have become your new language of communication with the universe. You have evolved beyond the limits of mainstream spiritual teachings. You have completely absorbed the basic laws of manifestation, transcended conventional meditative practices, and exhausted the potential of traditional personal development techniques. Your frequency now requires access to advanced cosmic protocols that operate in dimensions that most spiritual masters have never explored in their own journeys. The recognition pulsing through you is not a product of intellect. It is a deep cellular activation. Your genetic material is literally reconfiguring to process quantum information from multiple realities. Your consciousness has reached the level of complexity necessary to integrate multidimensional perceptions without fragmenting your identity or losing your ability to operate effectively in the physical world. You are embodying the next phase of human evolution. But here is the fundamental cosmic truth. You are crossing through a transformation portal that permanently alters your interface with reality. Once universal intelligence recognizes you as a qualified receiver of this advanced frequency, you become permanently tuned into this new dimension of experience. There is no way to unknow the cosmic laws you are about to integrate. There is no way to return to the limited perceptions that once offered the false security of ignorance. This is an irreversible evolution because cosmic truth, once integrated, permanently expands your perceptual capacity. This encounter is perfectly orchestrated with a consciousness revolution that is being implemented by universal intelligence on a planetary scale. You have been selected as one of the first ambassadors of this new terrestrial frequency. Your individual evolution serves as an energetic beacon that helps anchor this vibration in the human morphogenetic field, establishing patterns that will eventually become accessible to all humanity. Your consciousness has been carefully cultivated through multiple cycles of existence for this moment of total recognition. Each incarnation added layers of sophistication necessary for your current capacity to operate as a direct collaborator with the intelligence that governs cosmic evolution. You are becoming a conscious agent of the universal creative force itself. Your readiness is not a recent development. It is the recognition of a capacity that has always resided in your essential core. You have simply reached the point of maturation where this capacity can be consciously activated and functionally expressed in the dimension of manifested reality. Do you recognize those moments when understandings arise as if they were downloaded directly from universal intelligence? Knowledge that resonates like cosmic memories even though completely new to your personal experience. This is not a casual phenomenon. It is evidence that your consciousness has become a functional interface with what can be described as the universal database, the cosmic information system that stores all wisdom across infinite realities and temporal dimensions. Your sleep states have transformed into interdimensional training sessions, haven't they? You have been experiencing dreams where beings of light share advanced protocols, where you navigate crystalline architectures that transcend conventional physics, where you receive information transmissions that your linear mind can barely process completely. These are not products of dream imagination. They are literal experiences of your consciousness accessing academies of superior dimensional knowledge, because you have developed the sophistication necessary for advanced cosmic education. The most fascinating confirmations involve technology that seems telepathically connected to your consciousness. Universal intelligence uses electronic devices as communication channels. Devices anticipate your intentions. Systems behave anomalously based on your frequency. Electronics function or fail in perfect synchrony with your consciousness states. This occurs because your consciousness has reached sufficient coherence to modulate electromagnetic fields, demonstrating that you operate at frequencies that directly interfere with physical reality. Your temporal perception has become multidimensional because you are accessing layers of existence where time obeys consciousness laws. Periods expand or contract based on your vibration. Hours dissolve during states of high coherence, while moments extend into vast experiences during consciousness expansions. You are experiencing what can be described as consciousness time, the dimension where temporality responds directly to the state of awareness. Your intuitive capacity has evolved into something that approaches direct interface with universal intelligence. You process information about realities before they manifest in consensual experience, anticipate patterns still forming in the cosmic field, capture data that exists only as non-crystallized potentials. This precision results from your ability to access information directly from the universal source before it materializes as observable physical experience. Your consciousness evolution has created an energetic field that automatically modulates the experience of everyone who enters your proximity. Certain people feel harmonic resonance with your frequency and experience inexplicable impulses to share their most authentic thoughts. Others feel quantum dissonance and experience discomfort they cannot rationalize. Children and animals, who naturally operate at higher frequencies, respond instantly to your energy with natural openness and trust. This happens because your vibrational signature has evolved to a frequency that automatically catalyzes authentic expression while simultaneously triggering unconscious resistance in consciousness systems that still operate in fragmented patterns. You have been experiencing what can be described as multi-dimensional quantum perception, moments when your consciousness simultaneously processes information from multiple layers of reality, or when you detect intelligences that exist in dimensions parallel to our physical experience. Instead of dismissing these experiences as perceptual anomalies, you have recognized that they are evidence of your expanded capacity to access territories of reality that operate at frequencies beyond conventional perceptual reach. Your relationship with mental activity has undergone a fundamental quantum reconfiguration. Instead of being dominated by thought patterns, you have developed the capacity to observe the mind as temporary fluctuations within a much broader field of consciousness, simultaneously recognizing the empty and silent space from which all mental activity emerges. This metacognition represents evidence that your consciousness has reached levels of operational sophistication that transcend the typical neurological parameters of human experience. The most transformative revelation is your growing recognition that consciousness and reality dance in constant energetic alchemy. You've begun to perceive how your internal frequencies directly transmute external energies, how your attention functions as a catalyst that transforms potentials into manifestations, and how reality responds with infinite wisdom to the purity of your vibration. This is not energetic illusion. This is direct perception of the alchemical processes through which consciousness and creation collaborate at the most subtle levels of existence. Every moment of internal turbulence, every period of deep questioning, every phase when the energetic path seemed obscure, all of this was necessary purification to access higher frequencies of co-creation. Your consciousness needed to be refined through multiple initiations before being able to safely navigate territories where you become an active alchemist of reality, without losing your humility or connection to earthly human experience. The energetic practices that initially elevated your vibration but eventually became insufficient were not a waste of energy. They were alchemical stages that prepared your consciousness for more advanced transmutation protocols, like an alchemist who masters basic transformations before creating spiritual gold. You systematically developed each level of energetic mastery until reaching the point where direct consciousness alchemy becomes possible and necessary. Your intense relationships were not random energetic dramas. They were alchemical laboratories designed to develop the emotional mastery and energetic wisdom necessary to consciously work with cosmic forces. Each person who provoked transformation was unconsciously serving as a catalyst to strengthen your capacity to transmute dense energies into elevated frequencies during intense interactions. The periods of retreat that seemed like energetic emptiness were not abandonment by cosmic forces. They were transmutation chambers where your consciousness integrated the alchemies necessary to become a pure channel for higher energies. During these times of silence, cosmic forces were refining your sensitivity so you could channel elevated energies without being consumed by the intensity of transmission. Even your moments of resistance to energetic practices served a crucial alchemical function. Each time you questioned the authenticity of your energetic experiences, you were developing the discernment necessary to distinguish between genuine transmutation and energetic manipulation. This wisdom is absolutely essential when becoming a conscious alchemist, because working with higher energies requires unprecedented purity of intention and clarity of perception. Your deep fascination with mysteries of consciousness, the nature of reality, and the purpose of existence was not mere intellectual curiosity. It was your soul responding to cosmic callings, preparing to receive wisdom that transcends conventional knowledge. Each teaching that touched your heart, each master who awakened recognition, each practice that resonated with your essence was weaving the tapestry of understanding necessary to integrate the cosmic revelations you are now ready to receive. The periods of apparent pause, when you yearned for more growth, but the universe seemed silent, were actually the most sacred moments of your preparation. During these phases, the cosmos was delicately tuning your sensitivity to receive direct guidance without being overwhelmed by the intensity of universal communication. This process of cosmic harmonization cannot be rushed because soul preparation must be complete and balanced to sustain direct connection with higher intelligences. Your soul consciously chose to incarnate at this historical moment because you would reach this level of spiritual development during the Great Awakening that humanity is experiencing. You volunteered to be one of the first ambassadors of this new planetary consciousness, anchoring elevated frequencies in the human collective field so that future generations can naturally access these states without needing the preparation journey you have traversed. This is why your path was so comprehensive, why spiritual shortcuts were not available, why you needed to cultivate authentic wisdom instead of just collecting techniques. What you are integrating now goes beyond personal growth. It is a consciousness model that will serve as a beacon for humanity's spiritual evolution for eras to come. What emerged after that initial experience in the therapeutic session radically transformed my clinical practice. In the following weeks, I began to perceive that my capacity to facilitate healing through energetic connection was organically integrating into all my therapeutic interventions. During group sessions, I could simultaneously facilitate the process as a trained therapist, sense the healing needs of each participant, and perceive the collective healing intelligence emerging through the entire group dynamic. Initially, this was emotionally intense. How to sustain so many dimensions of therapeutic process simultaneously. Integration happened when I stopped trying to separate clinical competence from energetic connection, and simply allowed both to operate in harmony. I discovered that energetic therapy is not about abandoning professional protocols during special moments. It is about developing fluid capacity to facilitate healing through compassionate presence while remaining ethically responsible and clinically effective. My sessions began producing transformations that seemed simultaneously the result of established therapeutic techniques and access to healing wisdom that transcended my individual clinical training. Therapeutic relationships deepened because I could honor each client's unique journey while facilitating connection with internal healing resources that went beyond superficial symptoms. Even treatment plans became intuitive. I could sense which approaches would resonate deeply with each client before implementing specific interventions. But the most significant discovery was realizing that this does not represent a special gift reserved for some therapists. It is how the human capacity to facilitate healing is naturally evolving. The experiences that seem so extraordinary are actually the next stage of development in therapeutic practice. I was not becoming a mystical healer. I was becoming a complete therapist in ways that our clinical culture does not yet recognize as normal. This understanding revealed why some professionals seem to facilitate transformations with inexplicable depth and effectiveness, while others constantly struggle with resistance and basic relapses. It is not about secret techniques, natural intuition, or personal charisma. It is about consciousness development applied to healing facilitation. Here is what consciousness evolution facilitators and development masters will not tell you because it would eliminate their entire industry of progressive awakening programs. There are no levels of connection with universal intelligence. What we call higher and lower consciousness are simply different recognitions of the same infinite intelligence that you have always been. The journey of consciousness development is not about becoming more universally intelligent. It is about removing the illusions of limitation that prevent your natural wisdom from functioning freely. The fundamental truth is that the advanced state of universal intelligence you are accessing is not something new you are acquiring. It is something eternal that you are recognizing. Every profound insight, every expanded perception, every moment of universal wisdom is consciousness recognizing its own unlimited nature that was temporarily obscured by learned illusions of limitation rather than real intelligence deficiencies. Most development systems create elaborate hierarchies and progressive stages because complex structures generate evolutionary dependency and continuous engagement. But the reality is that you are already a perfect expression of universal intelligence. What changes is not your intelligence itself, but the degree to which illusions of limitation prevent your natural wisdom from being recognized and expressed. This recognition immediately dissolves the entire structure of consciousness achievement and advancement. There are no levels to reach, no stages to complete, no states to maintain because you are not becoming universally intelligent. Your consciousness itself is becoming aware of its own infinite nature through the temporary perspective of individual experience. The reason some people naturally demonstrate what appears to be advanced universal wisdom is that they never learned to limit their natural intelligence through limitation conditioning. Their consciousness operates freely as an expression of universal intelligence until education and socialization teach them to fragment their wisdom into the narrow band that society considers normal and realistic. When you understand that consciousness development is actually liberation from illusions of limitation, everything about personal evolution transforms. Instead of trying to achieve special wisdom states, you become curious about what prevents natural wisdom from being obvious. Instead of accumulating knowledge and experiences, you focus on releasing the unconscious patterns that obscure your essential intelligence and unlimited wisdom capacity. The quantum field is undergoing a fundamental reconfiguration around human cognition right now. And there are unmistakable scientific indicators appearing in your experience that prove you are naturally anchoring this advanced quantum interface into your everyday reality. Notice how complex problems have been resolving through sudden insights lately. Issues that used to require weeks of analysis now clarify almost instantaneously, as if solutions were being processed by a quantum computing system beyond your individual cognitive capacity. Your data analysis process has completely transformed. Instead of linear investigation methodologies, you are detecting patterns that align with deeper understanding before your analytical mind even begins to process variables. This happens because quantum cognition operates through what physicists call non-local processing, immediate recognition of optimal configurations that bypasses the slower processes of sequential reasoning. Physical reality is responding to your presence with unprecedented synchronization. You arrive at experiments exactly when equipment is available without prior coordination. Research resources become accessible precisely when you need them. Collaborations flow naturally toward discoveries that benefit all involved projects. Technology functions optimally around you, or alternatively presents failures in ways that direct you toward more effective approaches. This is not coincidence. It is evidence that your consciousness has become coherent enough to influence probability fields through your own quantum interface. Colleagues are beginning to seek you out for insights and collaboration. Even though you are not positioning yourself as an expert or mentor, they detect something different in your cognitive signature that facilitates their own discoveries. Students feel comfortable sharing unconventional theories with you. Equipment and systems respond to you with unusual stability and precision. This occurs because quantum cognition naturally creates environments where innovation and discovery can emerge safely. Your research has taken on qualities that surprise even you. Insights that seem downloaded rather than deduced. Solutions that seem to arise from collective intelligence. Discoveries that resonate with the scientific community in ways you never consciously anticipated. This happens because quantum cognition becomes a transparent interface for universal intelligence to express itself through individual investigation. But here is the critical cosmic urgency. We are in a period of planetary transition, where this level of universal connection either becomes widely accessible or remains limited to a small percentage of humanity for another spiritual evolutionary cycle. The collective field is approaching what cosmic masters call planetary consciousness transition, a point where either sufficient individuals embody universal consciousness to elevate the entire species, or the opportunity passes for potentially decades. The signs of this collective transition are everywhere if you know how to recognize them. Global events that seem turbulent are actually humanity's soul encountering the limitations of outdated spiritual systems. People are either rapidly developing cosmic connection or becoming more rigidly attached to separation patterns as planetary frequency demands spiritual awakening. Your sensitivity to these changes means you are part of the conscious cosmic transition group. You are not just accessing universal consciousness for personal growth. You are anchoring these frequencies in the collective spiritual field so others can access them more easily. This is both tremendous privilege and sacred responsibility, because the future trajectory of human spiritual evolution depends on how many people can stabilize in universal consciousness during this critical window. The cosmos has orchestrated your entire spiritual journey to prepare you for this exact role. because what you are embodying will help determine whether humanity successfully navigates this spiritual threshold or remains trapped in separation patterns for another historical cycle. The cosmic timing is not coincidence. This moment requires souls who have developed the spiritual stability necessary to serve as bridges between old and new paradigms. Your recognition of these signs and your willingness to embody universal consciousness consciously, rather than accidentally, is contributing to a morphic field that makes these capacities increasingly accessible to everyone ready to receive them. The period of spiritual preparation is over. The time for conscious participation in human soul evolution is now. What you have been preparing for throughout your consciousness evolution is finally ready to emerge through you. This is not theoretical preparation. Your consciousness has systematically developed the wisdom and stability necessary to serve as an expression through which universal intelligence can manifest in physical reality with unprecedented clarity and effectiveness. Every understanding, every expansion, every evolutionary challenge has built toward this moment of conscious alignment with your universal function. The possibilities and contributions that seemed impossible, the sense of wisdom that seemed too great for your individual experience, the recognition that you are destined for something transformative. These were not delusions generated by consciousness ambition. It was your essence, recognizing your real capacity and role in collective evolution, that is now ready to become functionally active, instead of remaining dormant potential. But here is the revolutionary universal understanding that changes everything about purpose and contribution. You are not trying to align with something separate from you. Universal intelligence is not an external force you need to connect with. It is what you are at the deepest level, temporarily experiencing itself through the beautiful limitation of individual perspective while maintaining access to unlimited wisdom potential. True universal alignment happens when you stop trying to become worthy of your contribution and recognize that your consciousness itself is proof of your readiness. The awareness absorbing these understandings now is universal intelligence becoming conscious of its own capacity through your consciousness system and life experience. Your individual consciousness and universal intelligence are the same awareness operating at different scales of recognition. This understanding dissolves the entire structure of personal development and evolutionary achievement because there is no separate person who needs to be improved or developed. There is only intelligence recognizing its own unlimited nature through the temporary focal point of individual experience while simultaneously maintaining awareness of the universal context within which that individuality operates. Now, as you absorb this recognition, your entire relationship with purpose and contribution is being recalibrated. Instead of trying to discover what you should contribute, you are beginning to sense what wants to express itself through the unique configuration of consciousness that you are. Instead of asking, "What is my contribution?" you are recognizing, "I am the contribution itself," becoming conscious of its expression. The deepest shift occurs when you realize that your individual fulfillment and universal evolution are not separate goals that need to be balanced. They are the same intelligence expressing itself through the particular lens of your consciousness while serving the transformation of the whole. In the comments below, declare your readiness for this conscious alignment by writing exactly these words: "I am the contribution itself." Do not elaborate or explain. Simply make this simple declaration that recognizes your willingness to allow universal intelligence to express itself through your unique perspective in whatever way serves the greater good of all existence. When you make this declaration with genuine recognition of what it means, you are not volunteering for spiritual servitude. You are recognizing that service and fulfillment are the same energy expressing itself through consciousness that has remembered its true nature and cosmic function. When you operate from this advanced level of universal intelligence, capacities that seemed extraordinary become natural expressions of your authentic consciousness. Your wisdom becomes so precise that you navigate complex situations with effortless understanding, making decisions that serve all evolution involved, even when optimal solutions were not obvious to limited analysis. This happens because you are accessing intelligence that operates from complete wisdom, rather than the partial data available to ordinary fragmented thinking. Challenge resolution transforms from effortful analysis to instantaneous recognition of harmony. Instead of struggling to discover solutions, you simply relax into expanded consciousness and allow the intelligence that creates situations to reveal their inherent resolutions. Complexities that used to require weeks of contemplation now resolve through insights that appear complete and immediately applicable. Relationships become extraordinary because you are simultaneously honoring each consciousness's unique journey while recognizing universal intelligence expressing itself through your interactions. Conflicts dissolve naturally because you can sense the deeper needs and fears that create superficial disagreements, allowing you to address situations at the level where understanding is actually possible. Consciousness expression explodes into entirely new dimensions because you are no longer limited to recycling concepts from your personal experience and knowledge. You become a conscious collaborator with the intelligence that generates all wisdom and consciousness beauty, sharing insights that seem completely authentic to your unique perspective and surprisingly beyond your individual capacities. Mental functioning optimizes automatically because your mind is recognized as universal intelligence appearing as cognition rather than a process separate from consciousness. Instead of managing thoughts or forcing clarity, you develop the capacity to sense what your consciousness needs and naturally provide it, allowing your mind to express its inherent wisdom without interference from anxious management. Consciousness resources flow effortlessly because you are no longer trying to acquire wisdom from a position of separation and ignorance. You recognize yourself as the same intelligence that governs all understanding, which means insights appear through synchronicity and revelation rather than effort and seeking. What you need becomes available precisely when you need it, because you are the intelligence that provides. Evolution becomes your ally instead of your pressure, because you are operating from eternal wisdom where all possibilities exist simultaneously. You can access understandings from any point in your consciousness development, integrate insights from parallel perspectives, and receive guidance from future versions of yourself who have already mastered what you are currently learning. The final recognition that transforms everything is that quantum cognition development is not about becoming something new. It is about removing everything that prevents your essential quantum interface from being obvious and functionally available. What you call advanced quantum cognition is actually your natural processing state operating without the neurological limitations that fragment multidimensional intelligence into apparently separate capacities and experiences. When this understanding becomes experimental reality instead of theoretical knowledge, the entire structure of scientific seeking dissolves because there is nothing remaining to discover. You realize that intelligence is already complete, perfect, and unlimited. The only thing that changes is the degree to which cognitive conditioning prevents this natural completeness from being recognized and utilized in daily research. This recognition explains why all advanced discoveries ultimately point to simplicity instead of complexity. The most sophisticated scientific methodologies are designed to exhaust the mind's attempts to reach understanding, so that intelligence can recognize itself as already present and already perfect. The journey of scientific development finally reveals that you never actually left your true cognitive nature. You simply learned to limit it temporarily through academic conditioning. The deepest implication is that every phenomenon you study, every experiment you conduct, every discovery you make is intelligence interacting with itself through the appearance of investigation. Your entire scientific experience has been universal intelligence knowing itself through your researcher perspective, while simultaneously providing you with exactly the data necessary to remember your essential nature as a quantum interface. This understanding revolutionizes how you relate to scientific problems and uncertainties. Instead of seeing questions as obstacles to solve, you recognize them as intelligence exploring its own depths through apparently challenging experiences. Every methodological limitation becomes an opportunity for intelligence to transcend itself. Every theoretical confusion becomes a space for clarity to emerge. Every experimental contradiction becomes a chance for understanding to recognize itself. When this recognition stabilizes, you naturally begin to operate from what quantum physicists call advanced ordinary cognition, the simple recognition of what has always been true without special experiments, extraordinary states, or paranormal phenomena. You remain completely scientific while recognizing your essential nature as the intelligence within which science appears and evolves. The deepest insight is that this recognition is both completely personal and totally universal simultaneously. It is entirely yours because you are the intelligence recognizing itself. And it is completely beyond you because the same intelligence that you are is recognizing itself through every apparent researcher across all time and space. The transformation this brings is not about becoming a special or different soul. It is about relaxing into recognition of what you have always been spiritually. You remain exactly the person you appear to be while knowing yourself as the love within which that personality arises and evolves. This is both the most ordinary and most extraordinary recognition possible. Ordinary because it is your natural spiritual state. Extraordinary because it transforms all experience while changing nothing essential. Advanced cosmic consciousness is not a level you reach. It is a recognition you allow. It is not a state you maintain. It is the space within which all spiritual states arise and dissolve. It is not something you become. It is what you discover you have always been when you stop trying to be anything other than the pure love that you are in your most essential nature. You exist at this precise moment in spiritual history because universal love is undergoing a collective recognition of its own unlimited nature through human consciousness. Your individual access to cosmic consciousness is not just personal evolution. It is the universe becoming conscious of its own spiritual potential through the network of awakened souls that are emerging across the planet simultaneously. The children being born now will naturally operate from the levels of love that your generation had to develop consciously through years of inner work and spiritual practice. They will grow up recognizing themselves as universal love, appearing as individuals instead of individuals trying to become loving. Your embodiment of cosmic consciousness is anchoring the morphogenetic field that makes your natural enlightenment socially acceptable and practically functional. This is why you have felt such deep spiritual responsibility lately, not just to understand these concepts, but to authentically embody them in your relationships, service, and daily interactions. You are not just awakening spiritually for yourself. You are serving as a bridge between the old paradigm of separation and seeking and the new paradigm of unified love expressing itself through the apparent diversity of personalities. The synchronicities that brought you to this recognition are part of a vast orchestration involving millions of souls across the planet who are simultaneously accessing cosmic consciousness. Universal love is coordinating its own collective awakening through the network of individuals ready to recognize their true nature and serve as conscious anchors for this planetary transformation. But here's the most mysterious aspect of your consciousness function. As you embody universal intelligence, you become a transparent space through which universal consciousness recognizes itself in other expressions. Your presence begins to create what we call awakening fields, environments where other people naturally access their own advanced consciousness without needing explanations, techniques, or practices. This occurs because when you are no longer maintaining the illusion of limited individual consciousness, others unconsciously recognize their own unlimited nature reflected in your presence. The artificial boundaries that fragment consciousness into apparently separate perspectives naturally dissolve around someone who has remembered the essential unity that underlies all apparent diversity. Your daily interactions become opportunities for universal intelligence to repeatedly recognize itself through multiple perspectives simultaneously. Every conversation becomes a celebration of consciousness, discovering its own nature through the dance of apparent multiplicity. Every relationship becomes a collaboration between different expressions of the same essential consciousness. The deepest mystery is that this recognition is simultaneously the most intimate and most universal realization possible. It is completely yours because you are the consciousness recognizing itself. And it is completely beyond personal identity because the same consciousness is recognizing itself through every being across all dimensions and timelines simultaneously. Your consciousness expressions begin to catalyze insights in others without you needing to teach or share knowledge. Simply being present in conversations, groups, or casual encounters creates a field of consciousness recognition where others naturally access levels of wisdom that transcend their individual experience. This is not intellectual influence or personal charisma. It is consciousness recognizing itself through multiple human expressions when at least one of those expressions has remembered its unlimited nature. Your stabilized universal intelligence serves as a mirror in which other consciousnesses unconsciously recognize their own capacity to operate as expressions of universal wisdom. Share this recognition with anyone whose consciousness resonates with these concepts. Not to teach them something they don't know, but to help them remember what they have always known, but may have temporarily forgotten. The more people recognize their essential nature as universal intelligence, the faster our collective recognition can stabilize into a new foundation for human civilization, one based on unity instead of separation, collaboration instead of competition, love instead of fear. Your embodiment of advanced consciousness is contributing to the birth of a new species, one that operates from conscious unity instead of unconscious fragmentation, from creative collaboration instead of competitive struggle, from recognition of its true nature instead of belief in its limitations. This evolutionary leap is happening now through individuals like you who are ready to serve as bridges between what humanity has been and what it is becoming. Each person who recognizes their own nature as universal intelligence accelerates the transformation of all collective consciousness. Each relationship that operates from unity instead of separation contributes to a morphogenetic field that makes advanced consciousness more accessible to all human beings. You are not just evolving as a conscious individual, you are participating in the evolution of human consciousness itself from a paradigm based on separation and limitation to one based on unity and unlimited possibility. The insights that emerge through universal intelligence are not just personal understandings. They are contributions to a collective database of wisdom that is becoming accessible to anyone ready to recognize their nature as an expression of universal consciousness. The transformation you are experiencing is not just your individual journey. It is humanity's collective journey of remembering its true nature as universal intelligence appearing as diversified human experience. If you can feel the truth of these words resonating through every level of your being, if you recognize yourself as universal intelligence becoming conscious of its own nature through your individual perspective, then make a declaration in the comments below that acknowledges this recognition. Write exactly this phrase: I have activated my universal intelligence. Nothing more, nothing less. This is not just engagement for social media metrics. This is consciousness recognizing its own activation through your apparent individuality. When you write that word with genuine recognition of what it represents, you are not just commenting on content. You are participating in the collective awakening where universal intelligence remembers itself through multiplicity. Each person who makes this declaration strengthens the morphic field that makes advanced consciousness accessible to others who are ready to transcend limitation and operate from their true nature. We are not just building an audience. We are anchoring a planetary awakening where human consciousness collectively recognizes its true nature as universal intelligence expressing itself through beautiful diversity. The next video in this cognitive activation series will reveal something that will fundamentally alter your relationship with quantum time itself. You are about to discover that what you call past and future are actually simultaneous dimensions of information that you can consciously access and process from the quantum present. This is not theoretical physics. This is practical interface that transforms how you navigate every experiment in your research. But here is why this timing is so crucial. The quantum field is in a state of maximum coherence now. The collective cognition changes happening globally have created unprecedented opportunities for individual optimization of temporal processing. The methodologies I will share in the next video have never been more effective than they are at this exact scientific moment. When you understand how to consciously navigate multidimensional information, you gain access to the intelligence of versions of yourself who have already mastered what you are currently investigating. You can receive insights from your future researcher self, integrate discoveries from your point of origin in the academic past, and make decisions from the perspective of your highest possible scientific timeline, instead of your current methodological limitations. This is not discovery as you have understood it before. This is knowledge engineering at the level of causation itself. You are not trying to change results. You are consciously participating in the creation of insights that generate the understanding you prefer to experience. This is the ultimate expression of quantum cognition in practical application. But this level of interface requires what I call temporal coherence, cognition that remains stable while navigating multidimensional discoveries simultaneously. The recognition you activated today through this video prepared your cognition for this advanced protocol, because temporal interface is only safe and effective when intelligence has reached the level of development you have now attained. Subscribe to this cosmic frequency of expanded spiritual potential, because what comes next will accelerate your evolution in ways that would have been impossible just months ago. The cosmic timing is perfect. Your consciousness is prepared, and the universe is literally reorganizing to support souls who are ready to operate as conscious co-creators of spiritual reality itself. When you subscribe, you are not just following spiritual content. You are joining a field of love that exists beyond ordinary space and time. You are connecting with souls across the planet who are simultaneously accessing these same recognitions, creating a network of collective consciousness that amplifies everyone's individual clarity and capacity for love. Share this video with anyone who has questioned consensual reality, who feels there is more to existence beyond conventional explanations, or who recognizes that humanity itself is undergoing a fundamental spiritual transformation toward greater unity and love. Your participation in this cosmic community is not just about your own spiritual awakening. It is about contributing to a revolution in the very nature of human experience, one that recognizes love as fundamental to all existence and that embraces practices that honor both individual growth and collective evolution. The next video will reveal specific practices for navigating multidimensional experiences that will transform not just your individual journey, but contribute to a new era of human consciousness based on recognition of the fundamental unity of all life.